The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across 3 kilometers of polished metal and crystal. 12 different species sat around the massive circular table, each representing billions of their kind across the galaxy. They had ruled space for over 1,000 years, and no one had ever said no to them. Ambassador Zeth Ka of the Hegemony stood tall on his 6 legs. His blue skin sparkled under the bright lights as he pointed at the holographic display floating above the table. A small blue planet spun slowly in the center of the room. "This is Earth," he said, his voice carrying across the hall. "We sent them our standard message 3 months ago. Every species in the galaxy has received this same message. They either join our council or we destroy them." The other ambassadors nodded. This was how things worked. The council had done this thousands of times before. Small worlds saw their massive fleets and immediately surrendered. It was simple and clean. Ambassador Vex 9 flickered her crystal body. Light danced through her transparent form as she spoke. "Perhaps they did not understand our message. These humans are still very young. They only discovered faster than light travel 50 years ago." Admiral Korath slammed his four-armed hand on the table. His insect-like face clicked with annoyance. "They understood perfectly. We sent the message in 47 different languages. We showed them pictures of our fleets destroying other worlds. We made it very clear what would happen if they refused." Supreme Chancellor Vorth leaned forward in his massive chair. His gray skin was covered in scars from 100 battles. He had led the council for 2 centuries and had never met a species he could not break. "What did they say in response?" he asked. Admiral Korath's mandibles clicked nervously. "That is the problem, Supreme Chancellor. They said nothing. No message back. No surrender. No declaration of war. Nothing at all." The hall fell silent. This had never happened before. Every species reacted to the council's ultimatum. Some begged for mercy. Others threatened war they could never win. Some tried to make deals or join alliances. But no one had ever simply ignored the message. Ambassador Quilks of the Traders Guild spoke up. His tentacles waved as he accessed his data files. "Our scouts report that the humans continue their normal activities. They still send trade ships to nearby systems. Their scientists still study the stars. Their military forces maintain normal patrol patterns. It is as if they never received our message at all." "But they did receive it," Admiral Korath insisted. "Our communication logs confirm delivery to their planetary government, their military command, and their scientific community." "Someone read our message." Chancellor Vorth stood up slowly. His presence filled the room like a dark cloud. "Show me their military strength." The holographic display changed. Now it showed Earth's defensive systems. Orbital platforms surrounded the planet like a metal web. Weapons batteries pointed out toward space. Shield generators created layers of protection around important cities. "Impressive for a young species," admitted Admiral Korath. "But nothing compared to our power. One battle group could overwhelm their entire defense network." Ambassador Drix of the mining caste studied the display with her electronic eyes. "What about their population?" 8 billion humans live on Earth," reported Admiral Korath. "Another 2 billion spread across colonies in their local system. They have settlements on their moon, on Mars, and in the asteroid belt. 10 billion total," Chancellor Vorth mused. "A significant population, but we have destroyed larger civilizations." Ambassador Zeth Ka's fins fluttered with excitement. "Perhaps they are planning something. A surprise attack? A secret weapon? We should strike immediately before they can act." "No," said Chancellor Vorth firmly. "We follow protocol. They have had 3 months to respond. Now we send the 7th Fleet to demonstrate our power. When they see our ships blocking out their sun, they will beg for mercy like all the others." Admiral Korath bowed his head. "How many ships, Supreme Chancellor?" "All of them. I want the humans to understand that resistance is impossible. Send 3,000 vessels. Use the intimidation formation. Park them just outside their star system where everyone on Earth can see them with their telescopes." The other ambassadors murmured their approval. 3,000 ships was overkill for one planet, but it would send a clear message to every species watching. The Council's power was absolute. "What if they still refuse to respond?" asked Ambassador Vex 9. Chancellor Vorth's laugh was like grinding metal. "Then we turn their blue world into an asteroid field. We have done it before. We will do it again." As the council members prepared to leave, none of them noticed the small changes that had appeared in their computer networks over the past 3 months. Tiny modifications in their communication systems. subtle alterations in their security protocols, minor updates to their navigation databases. The changes were so small and clever that even their best technicians had missed them. But every word spoken in this hall, every plan made in secret meetings, every order sent to their fleets now traveled along pathways that led to a small blue planet on the edge of known space. On Earth, in a quiet office building in Geneva, Dr. Sarah Chen finished reading the transcript of the council meeting. She closed her laptop and walked to the window. Outside, people went about their daily lives. Children played in parks. Adults hurried to work. Students attended classes at the nearby university. None of them knew that 3,000 alien warships would soon arrive at their doorstep. None of them knew that 12 different species had just voted to destroy their world if they did not surrender. But Dr. Chen knew. Her team had been listening to the council's communications for months. She picked up her phone and dialed a number known to only a few people on Earth. Director Chen here. Operation Lighthouse is approved. Begin Phase 2. The voice on the other end was calm and professional. Understood, Director. All teams report ready. The welcome mat is out. Dr. Chen smiled as she hung up the phone. The Galactic Council expected Earth to send a fleet of warships to fight them. They expected massive battles and glorious victories like they had won thousands of times before. They would be disappointed. Earth was not going to send a fleet. Earth was going to send one person, just one, but that one person would carry the weight of 10,000 years of human warfare, human cunning, and human determination. The Council ruled the galaxy through fear and superior firepower. They had never encountered a species that fought with information instead of weapons. They had never faced an enemy that could turn their own strength against them. As night fell over Geneva, Dr. Chen began preparing for a business trip. She packed a simple suitcase with basic clothes and personal items. In her briefcase, she placed a single data tablet and a small device that looked like an ordinary communication unit. Tomorrow, she would meet the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. She would sit across from Admiral Korath, a being who had destroyed entire civilizations without losing a single battle. And she would explain to him why the humans were not afraid. The Galactic Council thought they knew everything about warfare. They were about to learn that they knew nothing at all. Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Inevitable. Through the massive viewing window, he could see the greatest fleet ever assembled. 3,000 warships stretched out in perfect formation. Each ship was the size of a small city. Together, they carried enough firepower to crack a planet in half. The fleet had been traveling for 2 weeks toward the human solar system. In 12 hours, they would arrive at Earth. Admiral Korath had destroyed 43 worlds in his long career. He had seen entire species fall to their knees when they witnessed the power of the Council fleet, but something felt different about this mission. Navigation Officer Quilks. Report, Admiral Korath commanded. Quilks's 4 arms moved quickly across his control panel. His species was known for their precise navigation skills. The Council used them to guide all major fleet operations. We are approaching the outer edge of the human system, Admiral. Their star is now visible on long-range sensors. Any sign of human military response? None, Admiral. Our scouts have been monitoring the system for the past 6 days. The humans continue their normal activities. We detect no fleet movements, no defensive formations, no evacuation of civilian populations. Admiral Korath's mandibles clicked together. This was wrong. Every species prepared for war when they saw the Council fleet approaching. Even the most primitive civilizations tried to mount some kind of defense. What about their orbital defenses around Earth? Still operating normally, Admiral. We count 43 defensive platforms, 200 automated weapons satellites, and 18 shield generators. Nothing has been activated for combat operations. Tactical Officer Drex looked up from her displays. Her species was bred for warfare. They could smell fear from across space. Admiral, this behavior is unprecedented. Every biological signature we detect shows normal stress levels. They are not afraid. Perhaps they do not understand what is coming, suggested Communications Officer Trill. His pale green skin showed patterns of confusion. Maybe their sensors are not powerful enough to detect our fleet. Admiral Korath shook his massive head. Impossible. Our intelligence reports confirm that human technology is more advanced than we initially believed. They can see us coming. He walked to the tactical display that showed their fleet's position. The formation was perfect. The Council's military doctrine called for maximum visual impact when approaching a target world. Ships spread out in layers, creating a wall of metal that could be seen from the planet's surface. Perhaps they have a secret weapon, suggested Navigation Officer Quilks. A doomsday device that could destroy our fleet. If they had such a weapon, they would have used it by now, Admiral Korath replied. No, something else is happening here. Suddenly, the communications console began flashing. Officer Trill's head tentacles twisted with surprise. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. Put it on the main screen. The bridge's viewing window changed to show the interior of what looked like an ordinary office. A human female sat behind a simple desk. She appeared to be middle-aged, with brown hair and calm eyes. She wore civilian clothes with no military decorations or symbols of rank. Hello, the human said, as if greeting old friends. I am Dr. Sarah Chen, Director of the Office of Extraterrestrial Affairs. We have been monitoring your fleet's approach and wanted to welcome you to our solar system. The bridge crew exchanged shocked looks. No one had ever welcomed a Council invasion fleet before. Dr. Chen continued speaking in the same friendly tone. We understand that you may have some concerns about our planet's relationship with the Galactic Council. We would very much like to discuss this matter with you. Would it be possible to arrange a meeting? Admiral Korath found his voice after several seconds of stunned silence. You wish to discuss? Yes, exactly. We have prepared a small meeting facility at coordinates that I am transmitting now. It is a neutral location where we can talk privately. Would you be willing to send a representative? The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in complete silence. Tactical Officer Drex was the first to speak. Admiral, this could be a trap. They might be trying to lure our commanders away from the fleet. What kind of trap? Admiral Korath asked. They are offering to meet at coordinates they choose. We will bring security forces. We control the space around their planet. What can one human do against our power? Officer Trill checked his instruments. Admiral, the coordinates they sent lead to a small space station in the outer system. Our sensors show it contains minimal life support, no weapons and no shields. It appears to be a genuine meeting facility. Admiral Korath studied the tactical display showing the human solar system. Something was very wrong here, but he could not identify what it was. In 40 years of military service, he had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming warnings, but he also knew that Chancellor Vorth expected results. The Council wanted Earth to surrender or be destroyed. They would not accept excuses about strange human behavior. Prepare a diplomatic shuttle, he finally commanded. Select our best security team. I will meet with this human and learn what game they are playing. Admiral, Officer Drex protested. Council regulations require that you remain with the fleet during hostile operations. This is not a hostile operation yet, Admiral Korath replied. The humans have not fired a single shot. They have not even activated their defense systems. They are asking for a meeting, not a battle. He paused and looked out at the wall of warships under his command. Besides, what can one human do against 3,000 ships? If this is a trap, it is the most foolish trap ever conceived. 2 hours later, Admiral Korath's shuttle approached the human space station. The facility was tiny compared to Council architecture. It looked like it could barely hold 20 people. There were no weapons visible, no shield generators, no defensive systems at all. Scans confirm minimal life signs aboard the station, reported the shuttle pilot. 2 humans. Standard atmospheric conditions. No apparent threats. Admiral Korath adjusted his formal dress uniform and checked his personal shield generator. His security team carried enough firepower to level a small building. He was taking no chances with human trickery. As the shuttle docked with the station, Admiral Korath wondered what kind of species invited their destroyers to a diplomatic meeting. In his experience, such confidence came from either supreme arrogance or supreme power. The humans did not seem arrogant. Their message had been polite, almost humble. They had not made threats or boasted about their capabilities, which meant they might possess supreme power. That thought made Admiral Korath's blood run cold as he prepared to meet the enemy who was not acting like an enemy at all. The airlock opened and he stepped aboard the human station. Inside, he found a simple conference room with a table, chairs, and 2 humans waiting for him. Dr. Sarah Chen stood and smiled warmly, as if welcoming honored guests rather than the commanders of their extinction. Admiral Korath, Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Please have a seat. We have so much to discuss. The conference room was smaller than Admiral Korath's personal quarters aboard the Inevitable. The table looked like it came from a simple business office. The chairs were designed for human comfort, not for the variety of alien body types that usually attended diplomatic meetings. Dr. Sarah Chen sat across from Admiral Korath, with the same calm expression she had worn during her transmission. Next to her sat a younger human male who had introduced himself as Dr. James Park, her assistant. Between them was a simple briefcase that looked completely ordinary. Admiral Korath had brought 6 of his best soldiers. They stood along the walls of the room, weapons ready, scanning for threats. Their armor was designed to stop anything short of a plasma cannon. Their shields could protect against most known energy weapons. Dr. Chen seemed completely unbothered by the presence of armed aliens who could kill her in seconds. "Thank you for meeting with us, Admiral," she said, pouring herself a cup of coffee from a simple thermos. "Would you like some? It is a human beverage. Quite stimulating." Admiral Korath's mandibles clicked in confusion. "You understand why my fleet is here?" "Of course. The Galactic Council sent you to demand our surrender. If we refuse, you will destroy our planet." Dr. Chen sipped her coffee calmly. "Standard Council procedure according to our research. Then you also understand that resistance is pointless. 3,000 ships orbit your world. Each one carries enough firepower to level your largest cities. Your entire planetary defense system could not stop even one of our battle groups." "Oh, we are quite aware of your capabilities," Dr. Chen replied. She nodded to Dr. Park, who opened the briefcase and pulled out a simple tablet computer. "In fact, we know quite a lot about your fleet." The tablet's screen lit up, showing detailed technical specifications of Council warships. Not basic information that might be available through trade contacts, but classified military data that should have been impossible for humans to obtain. The Hegemony Destroyer Class 7, for example, Dr. Chen said, reading from the tablet, standard crew of 400 quantum plasma main guns, regenerative shield matrix rated at 47 terawatts. Admiral Korath felt his skin grow cold. That information was classified at the highest levels of Council security. Or perhaps you would prefer specifications for your flagship, the Inevitable, command crew of 80, advanced sensor array with stealth detection capability, personal quarters on deck 7 with a collection of Alterian crystal sculptures. The Admiral's 4 hands clenched into fists. Only 3 beings in the galaxy knew about his private art collection. All of them were Council members with maximum security clearance. "How did you obtain this information?" Dr. Chen smiled pleasantly. "We asked nicely." She touched the tablet screen and new information appeared. Fleet movements from the past 6 months, supply routes that were supposed to be secret, communications between Council worlds that should have been impossible to intercept. "We have been studying your civilization for quite some time, Admiral. Ever since you announced your existence to this part of the galaxy, really. It has been most educational." Dr. Park reached into the briefcase again and withdrew a device the size of a communication unit. "We have also been studying your biology." The device activated with a soft hum. Admiral Korath's enhanced hearing picked up a frequency just below normal sound range. It was barely noticeable, but something about it made his carapace itch. One of his soldiers suddenly staggered. The Hegemony warrior's blue skin began changing color, shifting from deep blue to pale gray. His weapon fell from nerveless fingers as he struggled to remain standing. "Fascinating reaction," Dr. Chen observed. "The Hegemony nervous system is incredibly efficient, but it relies on specific electromagnetic frequencies to coordinate movement. Disrupt those frequencies and motor control becomes very difficult." She nodded to Dr. Park, who shut off the device. The soldier immediately recovered, his skin returning to normal color. "A simple demonstration," Dr. Chen explained. "We have similar techniques for each species in your fleet. The Vex crystalline biology is particularly interesting. Did you know that crystal formations can be shattered using precise sonic resonance?" Admiral Korath stared at the small device with growing horror. "You are threatening my soldiers?" "Not at all. We are sharing information. You see, Admiral, we believe in being completely honest during negotiations. We want you to understand exactly what you are dealing with." She touched the tablet again. This time it showed star charts of the local galactic region. Red dots marked Council worlds, space stations, and military bases. Every location marked in red represents a facility where we have established some level of access to your computer networks. Communication systems, navigation databases, security protocols, financial records. We have been very thorough. The red dots covered almost the entire map. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of installations, the entire infrastructure of galactic civilization. Impossible, Admiral Korath whispered. Our security systems are impenetrable. It would take centuries to break our encryption. It would take your species centuries, Dr. Chen agreed. But we are not your species. We think differently. We approach problems from directions you would never consider. She leaned forward slightly, and for the first time, her friendly expression became serious. Admiral, your species has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. In all that time, have you ever encountered an enemy that did not fight the way you expected? Admiral Korath thought about all the wars he had fought, all the civilizations he had conquered. Every species had tried to match Council firepower with their own weapons. Every battle had been won through superior technology and numbers. No, he admitted. We do not fight the way you expect, Dr. Chen continued. We do not build larger guns or stronger shields. We do not gather massive fleets for glorious battles. Instead, we learn, we study. We find weaknesses that you did not know existed. She gestured to the red dots on the star chart. Your entire civilization depends on computer networks to function. Trade, communications, navigation, even life support on many of your worlds. What do you think would happen if those networks suddenly began working against you instead of for you? The implications hit Admiral Korath like a physical blow. Modern galactic civilization was completely dependent on automated systems. If those systems were compromised, entire worlds could become uninhabitable within hours. You could destroy us without firing a shot, he said slowly. We could, Dr. Chen agreed, but we will not. Do you know why? Because you are not conquerors, Admiral Korath said, understanding beginning to dawn. You do not want to rule the galaxy. Exactly. We want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. We have no interest in your territory, your resources, or your trade routes. We simply want you to go home and pretend this conversation never happened. She closed the tablet and placed it back in the briefcase. However, we also want you to understand that attacking Earth would be the last mistake the Galactic Council ever makes. Not because we would destroy your fleets in battle, but because we would simply turn off your civilization like switching off a light. Admiral Korath sat in stunned silence. In 40 years of military service, he had never encountered anything like this. An enemy that could destroy everything he knew but chose not to. A species that wielded ultimate power with restraint. What happens now? He asked. Dr. Chen's friendly smile returned. Now you return to your fleet and report to the Council. You explain that Earth politely declines their invitation to join galactic civilization. You recommend that they mark our solar system as restricted space and forget we exist. And if the Council decides to attack anyway, then they will discover that there are worse things than being conquered, Dr. Chen replied quietly. There is being forgotten. Having your entire civilization simply stop working, cities going dark, ships drifting powerless, communications failing, and nobody remembering why? She stood up and extended her hand in the human gesture of friendship, but we are confident that the Council is wise enough to avoid such an outcome. After all, you have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. You must understand the difference between fighting an enemy and fighting a force of nature. Admiral Korath looked at the offered hand for a long moment. Then he reached out and shook it, sealing an agreement that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Admiral Korath's shuttle docked with the inevitable 6 hours after his meeting with Dr. Sarah Chen. The entire bridge crew waited for his return, their faces showing a mixture of curiosity and concern. No Council Admiral had ever spent so long in diplomatic talks with a species that was supposed to surrender or die. Admiral, what are your orders? Asked Tactical Officer Drex as soon as Korath stepped onto the bridge. Admiral Korath looked out at the 3,000 ships under his command. Each vessel represented the pinnacle of galactic military technology. Together they could reduce Earth to glowing debris in less than an hour. But now he saw them differently. They were not weapons of ultimate power. They were relics of an older, simpler kind of warfare. Maintain position, he commanded. All ships hold formation but do not power weapons or target the planet. Sir? Navigation Officer Quilks's voice carried confusion. Did the humans surrender? No, they made us an offer instead. Before anyone could ask what kind of offer, the communications console began flashing urgent warnings. Officer Trill's green skin paled as he read the incoming messages. Admiral, we are receiving priority alerts from across the galaxy. Multiple emergency transmissions from Council worlds. Put them through. The main screen filled with the face of Commander Rath-Ka, Admiral Korath's brother, broadcasting from the hegemony homeworld. His usually composed features showed panic. Korath, thank the ancestors I reached you. Something impossible is happening. Our entire orbital defense network just shut down. Every satellite, every weapon platform, every shield generator. They powered down simultaneously and will not respond to commands. The transmission switched to another source. Supreme Admiral Vex Prime flickered her crystalline body in distress as she spoke from the Vex homeworld. Council Fleet Command. We have a critical emergency. Our crystal resonance chambers are activating without authorization. The harmonic frequencies are causing structural damage across 3 cities. Our technicians cannot stop the process. More transmissions followed, each more alarming than the last. The Keth Rebellion leaders appeared on screen, broadcasting from what looked like a secret bunker. But they were not hiding anymore. They stood confidently in the open, reading from documents that should have been in the highest levels of government security. Citizens of Keth, we now possess complete records of our government's illegal activities. Military deployment schedules, secret police operations, hidden financial accounts. The time for revolution has come. Admiral Korath felt his 4 hearts skip beats as he watched transmission after transmission pour in. The Zephyrian trade fleet was drifting helpless in space, their navigation systems showing completely wrong stellar positions. The Makari defense satellites had stopped following targeting protocols and were instead broadcasting what sounded like human music. The Trillian communication network was playing personal messages between government officials that were clearly never meant to be public. How is this possible? Whispered Officer Drex. These systems are on different worlds using different technologies. There is no way to coordinate attacks across such distances. The communications console chimed with an incoming message from Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen appeared on screen again, still sitting in that same simple office. She looked as calm and friendly as before. Good evening, Admiral Korath. I hope your return journey was pleasant. I wanted to provide you with a brief status update on our demonstration. She consulted the same tablet she had used during their meeting. Let me see. The hegemony orbital defenses are currently offline, but no permanent damage has been done. The Vex resonance chambers will return to normal function once we stop transmitting the activation frequencies. The Keth revolutionaries are quite excited about their new intelligence data, but that situation will resolve itself politically. She scrolled through more information on the tablet. The Zephyrian navigation errors will correct themselves within the hour. The Makari satellite issue is really just a software update gone wrong, and the Trillian communication problems are more embarrassing than dangerous. Nothing that cannot be fixed with a simple system restart. Admiral Korath found his voice. You did this? All of it from Earth? Oh no, not from Earth, Dr. Chen replied with a smile. We did this through your own networks using your own infrastructure. Every quantum relay, every communication satellite, every computer system in the galaxy, they are all connected, Admiral. One vast web of information flowing between worlds. The bridge crew listened in stunned silence as she continued. When your council announced its existence to the galaxy 50 years ago, you essentially sent us a detailed map of every system we needed to access. Trade computers talk to military databases. Navigation systems share information with communication networks. Entertainment broadcasts carry data packets alongside news and education. She leaned forward slightly, her expression becoming more serious. Admiral, your civilization built the largest computer network in galactic history and then invited every species to connect to it, including us. We have been quietly learning and exploring for years, following data pathways that you never even knew existed. Officer Trill's hands shook as he checked his own systems. Admiral, she is right. I am detecting subtle modifications in our own database structure, changes so small that our security scans missed them completely. When did you infiltrate our systems? Admiral Korath demanded. Infiltrate is such a harsh word, Dr. Chen replied. We prefer to think of it as networking. The first connections were established about 6 months after your species began broadcasting on galactic communication frequencies. It took us nearly 2 years to map the basic structure of Council civilization. She paused to sip her coffee. The interesting part was not breaking your security systems, Admiral. The interesting part was doing it so carefully that you never noticed. We have been passengers on your own information networks for years, learning everything there is to know about how your societies function. The full implications of what she was saying hit Admiral Korath like a meteor impact. You could have destroyed us at any time. We could have caused serious disruptions, yes. Turned off power grids, disabled ships, confused navigation systems, corrupted financial records. Your interconnected civilization is remarkably vulnerable to the right kind of information warfare. Then why did you wait until now? Dr. Chen's smile returned warm and genuine. Because we did not want to hurt anyone, Admiral. Today's demonstration was designed to be temporary and reversible. We wanted to show you what we could do without actually doing it. A proof of concept, if you will. She stood up from her chair and walked closer to the camera. You see, Admiral, we understand that you are soldiers following orders. You did not choose to threaten our world. The Galactic Council sent you here because that is how they handle all first contact situations. But now you have seen that we are not like the other species you have encountered. What makes you different? Admiral Korath asked, though he was beginning to understand the answer. We do not fight fair, Dr. Chen replied simply. Every other species you have conquered tried to match your strength with their own strength. They built bigger guns and stronger ships and fought the kind of war you knew how to win. But we studied the wars in our own history and learned that the most effective weapon is often the one your enemy never sees coming. She gestured to something off-screen, and the tablet display appeared in the transmission, showing the star map covered with red dots. This is not about technology, Admiral. It is about thinking differently. Your species conquered the galaxy through superior firepower and military organization, very effective against enemies who fight the same kind of war. But we fight with information, patience, and the willingness to spend years learning our opponent's weaknesses. Admiral Korath stared at the map showing the complete penetration of galactic civilization. How many people on Earth know about this capability? Very few. Our government prefers to keep certain capabilities quiet. But I can tell you that every major decision-maker on our planet agrees on one thing. We want to be left alone. We have no interest in conquering your worlds or ruling your people. We simply want you to go back to your business and forget we exist. She closed the tablet and placed it on her desk. However, if the Galactic Council decides to force the issue, they should understand that today's demonstration was just a small sample. We have capabilities that we did not reveal today, capabilities that we sincerely hope we never have to use. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the inevitable in absolute silence. Officer Drex was the first to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. Admiral, what do we tell the Council? Admiral Korath looked out at his fleet of 3,000 ships. Each one was a masterpiece of engineering, crewed by the finest warriors in the galaxy, and every single one of them was completely useless against an enemy that could shut down their computers with a thought. We tell them the truth, he said finally. We tell them that we have encountered a species that fights wars we cannot win, and we recommend that they listen very carefully to what the humans are asking for. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. For the first time in 1,000 years, the representatives of 12 species sat in stunned silence as they listened to Admiral Korath's report. The holographic display showed Earth spinning peacefully in space, looking exactly like the small blue world they had dismissed as primitive just weeks ago. Supreme Chancellor Vorth gripped his chair with clawed hands. His gray skin had turned even darker with stress. Explained to me again how one species on one world penetrated the security systems of our entire civilization. Admiral Korath stood at attention before the Council, but his usual military confidence was gone. They did not break our security, Supreme Chancellor. They simply used our own systems against us. Every computer network in Council space is connected through trade links, communication relays, and information-sharing protocols. The humans followed those connections like roads leading to every world we control. Ambassador Zethka's fins fluttered with agitation. Impossible. Our security protocols are updated constantly. Our best technicians monitor every system. That is exactly why it worked, Admiral Korath replied. The humans did not attack our security. They became part of our network infrastructure. Their modifications were so small and subtle that our systems classified them as normal updates. They hid in plain sight for years. Ambassador Vex 9 flickered her crystal body, light patterns showing deep concern. The damage reports from our homeworlds are still coming in. They shut down our orbital defenses, activated our resonance chambers, distributed classified information to rebel groups, and disrupted our navigation systems, all simultaneously across dozens of worlds. And then they fixed everything, added Ambassador Quilks of the Traders Guild. His tentacles waved as he accessed the latest reports. Every system they disrupted has been restored to normal function. No permanent damage was done anywhere. It was as if they wanted to prove their power without actually using it. Chancellor Vorth stood up and walked to the great windows overlooking space. In the distance, stars twinkled peacefully, giving no hint of the revolution in galactic power that had just occurred. "What exactly do the humans want?" he asked without turning around. "Nothing," Admiral Korath replied. "They want us to leave them alone. They have no interest in joining the Council, establishing trade relations, or expanding beyond their current territory. They simply want to exist in peace." "Every species wants something," insisted Ambassador Drix of the mining caste. Her electronic eyes flashed red with disbelief. "Territory, resources, power, knowledge. What drives them to build such capabilities if not ambition?" Admiral Korath thought back to his conversation with Dr. Sarah Chen. Her calm demeanor, her reasonable tone, her complete lack of interest in threatening or intimidating him. "Survival," he said finally. "They built these capabilities to protect themselves, not to conquer others, but to ensure that others could not conquer them." Ambassador Zethka slammed his hand on the table. "That makes no sense. If they have the power to control our entire civilization, why do they not use it? Why settle for one world when they could rule the galaxy?" "Because they are not us," Admiral Korath said quietly. "They think differently than we do. They see power as something to be used carefully, not constantly. They prefer to remain hidden rather than dominate openly." The council chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. Every species they had ever encountered wanted something from the galactic community. Resources, territory, technology, or political influence. The humans wanted to be forgotten. Supreme Chancellor Vorth returned to his chair. "What are our options?" Admiral Korath had been dreading this question. "Military action is not feasible, Supreme Chancellor. They have demonstrated the ability to disable our fleets, shut down our worlds, and disrupt our entire civilization without firing a shot. Any attack on Earth would result in the collapse of Council authority across the galaxy. What about diplomatic pressure? Economic sanctions? Impossible. They have no trade relationships with Council worlds. They produce everything they need on Earth and in their local system. There is nothing we can offer them and nothing we can take away from them." Ambassador Vex 9 pulsed with frustrated light patterns. "So we simply accept that one world can threaten our entire civilization?" "They are not threatening us," Admiral Korath corrected. "That is what makes this situation so unusual. They have ultimate power over us, but they are choosing not to use it. They want to be left alone, not to rule over others." Chancellor Vorth leaned back in his massive chair. In 2 centuries of leading the Council, he had never faced a problem like this. Every previous challenge had been solved through superior firepower or political maneuvering. "But how do you fight an enemy that does not want to be your enemy? What happens if we ignore their request?" he asked. "What if we simply pretend Earth does not exist?" "Then nothing happens," Admiral Korath replied. "They return to their normal activities. They continue their scientific research, their space exploration, their peaceful development. They become the most powerful species in the galaxy that nobody knows exists. And what happens if someone else discovers their capabilities? If another species tries to attack Earth or force them into conflict?" Admiral Korath's mandibles clicked nervously. "Then that species learns the same lesson we learned today. The humans will defend themselves, but they will not seek revenge afterward. They will simply make it very clear that they wish to be left alone." Ambassador Quilks raised a tentacle. "There is one more consideration. If word of this spreads, other species may begin questioning Council authority. If one world can resist us completely, others may try to follow their example. That cannot be allowed to happen," Chancellor Vorth said firmly. "Council unity is essential for galactic stability." "Then what do you propose?" asked Admiral Korath. "We cannot defeat them. We cannot threaten them. We cannot bribe them. And we cannot ignore them because their very existence challenges our authority." The Council sat in silence as they grappled with the most difficult decision in their history. For 1,000 years their rule had been absolute. No species had ever successfully resisted their power. But now they had encountered a civilization that made their greatest fleets irrelevant. Finally, Chancellor Vorth spoke. "We adapt. Adapt how?" asked Ambassador Zethka. We change our policies. From this day forward, the Sol system is classified as restricted space. No council ships will enter human territory. No trade missions, no diplomatic contacts, no military patrols. We treat them as if they are a natural hazard, like a black hole or a radiation storm. And if other species ask why, inquired Ambassador Vex 9, we tell them nothing. The official record will show that our survey of the Sol system found no intelligent life. Earth becomes a blank space on our star charts. As far as the galaxy is concerned, humans do not exist. Admiral Korath nodded slowly. A reasonable solution, Supreme Chancellor. But what about the long term? What happens as the humans continue to develop their capabilities? Chancellor Vorth stood up and walked to the holographic display showing Earth. The small blue world continued its peaceful rotation, unchanged by the galactic crisis it had caused. We hope, he said quietly, that they remain as benevolent as they are powerful. Because, Admiral, we have just learned the most frightening lesson in galactic history. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who wants to destroy you. He paused, watching the planet that had just redefined the balance of power in the galaxy. The most dangerous enemy is the one who could destroy you, but chooses not to, because that means they are better than you are. The council meeting ended with the unanimous passage of Resolution 7749, the Sol System Exclusion Protocol. Earth would be removed from all official star charts. The solar system would be marked as a navigational hazard. Any ship that accidentally entered human space would be ordered to leave immediately. As the council members departed, none of them spoke about the real reason for their decision. They had ruled the galaxy through fear and superior firepower for 1,000 years. Now they had encountered a species that wielded ultimate power with restraint, that preferred isolation to domination, that solved problems through patience instead of violence. The humans had not conquered the Galactic Council. They had done something much more profound. They had shown the Council what true civilization looked like. In her small office in Geneva, Dr. Sarah Chen finished reading the transcript of the Council meeting. She closed her laptop and looked out the window at people going about their daily lives. Children still played in parks. Adults still hurried to work. Students still attended classes at the university. None of them would ever know how close they had come to a war that could have destroyed both Earth and the galactic civilization that threatened it. None of them would ever know that their quiet blue world had just become the most feared and respected planet in known space. Dr. Chen picked up her phone and dialed a familiar number. Director Chen here. Operation Lighthouse is complete. The galaxy is safe. Understood, Director. All monitoring systems remain active? Of course. We will continue to watch and listen, just in case someone decides to ignore the Council's new policy. She hung up and returned to her window. Somewhere above the clouds, 3,000 alien warships were turning away from Earth and heading home. They would carry word of humanity's power to every corner of the galaxy. And perhaps if they were very lucky, that word would be enough to keep the peace for generations to come. The most effective victory, after all, was the one that never had to be fought.